Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Longbox Chronicles Month, here on Reaction and Review. Tonight, guys, I'm taking a look at a movie from 1991 based on one of my all-time favorite comic book characters. That movie is Alias, Batman and Robin. I'm going to tell you guys everything I know about this movie, because I did do a little bit of research, and when I say a little bit, I mean a little bit less than I normally do. I know the movie is from 1991. I know that it was made in the Philippines. I know that it's a comedy. According to a handful of the websites I found, it's also apparently a musical, or it at least has a handful of musical numbers in it. And this whole thing is inspired by the 1960s Batman television show. Now, all of that, when fucking combined, means this thing could possibly go one of two ways. It is either going to be one of the most amazing, batshit crazy things I've ever seen committed to film, or it is going to be a cinematic disaster of borderline biblical proportions. I have no idea. To be totally honest, I would love to see this thing fly either fucking way. Guys, I'm gonna tell you, I've really been looking forward to this one all month, just because it's a Batman movie from the Philippines based on the 1960s TV show. That, to me, just sounds so out there that it just has to be at least kind of sort of interesting, right? I'm really hoping so. So, without further ado, it's time to kick back, relax, and check out Alias, Batman and Robin. Well, guys, I am able to verify one thing. I can tell you most certainly that the fight scenes in this thing are certainly fucking inspired by the 1960s Batman show, which, frankly, to me is a huge positive, because I really kind of liked the cheesiness of those fights. And, well, fights in this thing thus far have been incredibly cheesy. I just kind of wanted to share that. Wow, you know, I never really thought I'd hear Joker and Penguin singing a song together and have it wind up a little bit catchy. This is shockingly good. The song's actually kind of sort of catchy. I was not really expecting that. Well, guys, I'd kind of like to say this right now. After finally getting a really good look at the Batmobile, I will say that even though it looks incredibly cheap, it still looks really awesome. I really don't know how they were able to pull off making it look both cheap and awesome, but god damn it, they were able to pull it off. I'm kind of surprised. You know, guys, this really kind of sucks. For about the first 50 minutes or so of this movie, we had a story that was going by really fast. I was really enjoying everything which is going on. But now for about the last 10 minutes, we've had nothing. The story has come to an absolute screeching halt, and it's killing all of the fucking it's killing all of the momentum this movie had built up. It's really kind of sad. I mean, did we seriously need the musical number, the very poorly lip-synced musical number, I should mention? Did we need, you know, Batman and his, you know, fucking, like, love interest both pining over each other without it really going any further than it had already been built up? I really kind of wish that they would not pull this sort of shit and just sort of keep the story going, because this guy's is really just dragging it to a fucking dead stop, and I'm not really liking it. Okay, is Penguin really gonna shoot every single henchman who fails to hit Robin? I mean, he so far has shot like 4 of his own henchmen, all because they've all taken a single shot at Robin and missed miserably. It kind of makes me wonder that if Penguin takes a shot and misses, is he just going to commit fucking suicide like right then and there? Or, oh, never mind, I guess that he won't have the option. Alright, because now Robin has the gun. Interesting. I would like to say right now, guys, that for a movie to start off as strongly as this one did, and have it and have it, you know, get this dull during the final act, to me is nothing short of absolutely depressing. I just kind of wanted to share that now. I'm going to go into more detail when the movie's done, but my God, what the fuck happened here, man? Well, guys, that was Alias, Batman, and Robin, and the movie ends with a really shitty song and background dancers made up of, let's see, I believe that's supposed to be the Hulk. I see Peter Pan, Spider-Man, Superman, Wonder Woman, Zorro, and a shit ton of others that, frankly, I just don't fucking care, you know, about. Let me just shut the damn thing off. Okay. Holy God. Okay. Writing. For the first about 50 minutes or so of this movie, it's fantastic because because the movie is a comedy and the jokes are really funny. Almost every joke actually will make you smile. They will make you openly laugh at times. The writing here is really sharp and it's really witty. And the very fact that it is a foreign film and a whole lot of these jokes are able to translate well through the subtitles is also a massive positive. So yeah, guys, when everything starts off, everything's campy, it's cheesy, it's stupid, and I loved every second of the first about 50 minutes or so. But then we have a 20-minute patch where the movie is stopped completely dead. And it's simply so that way both Batman and Robin are able to further build their they basically are able to have screen time with their various love interests. Robin does it by having a very sappy, very god-awful song between the two of them, which also was lip-synced very poorly by the two actors in the scene. Which goes on for about 5 minutes. It's probably the longest fucking song in the entire movie, and it's by far the worst. And Batman does it by going into an almost 10-minute dream, you know, sequence, and then finally deciding to just show up and tell her that he loves her. Now, we didn't need the song, and we didn't need the dream sequence. Both of those were absolutely unnecessary. And if they would have cut that roughly about 15 minutes of crap, this movie would have probably flowed a hell of a lot faster. However, immediately after that 20-minute patch of bullshit, the overall tone of the film completely changes. It is no longer this campy, goofy, stupid comedy. Now everything's a little bit more solemn, everything's a little bit more serious. It is a massive tonal shift. And that's, I think that's partially because with that 20 minutes of forced fucking romance garbage, the movie loses all of its fucking momentum, and it built up to that point. And so now they have to rebuild from nothing. And unfortunately, for that last about 40 minutes or so, or 30 minutes, 40 minutes, the humor is not as strong. The writing, honestly, is just not there. The actors all just seem to have given up. It really does almost feel as if that final act was just sort of tacked on at the absolute last second, and everybody stopped caring. Because well, out of our 3 villains, two of them are apprehended, which, you know, is fine. And really, they could have tried to do something where they go after the third and final villain, but no, they don't. Instead, he has to break out one of the others, and then it all kind of turns to shit. Really, guys, the fucking, again, like the last like half hour of this thing feels just absolutely terrible, especially in comparison to the first 50 minutes, but it's not nearly as bad as that 20 minutes of padding be fucking tween them. I'm telling you guys right now, they could have totally cut the fucking dream sequence, and they could have cut the song, and the film would probably have benefited from it. Instead, I really see that as the turning point, when this movie goes from being really funny and really cool to being absolute trash, because it loses all of its steam, and it has to rebuild from ground. It basically has to rebuild from square fucking one for the last half hour. And you don't want to do that when you are writing a movie. It really is just poor writing. And really, I was hoping beyond hope that this whole movie would have kept up the awesome, frantic, funny pace that it had built up for, again, the first 50 minutes. But it just couldn't do it, and thus this film absolutely suffers. Now, while I could sit here all day and probably talk about, and sort of talk about how this thing teaches you how not to write a film, the acting, though, is still pretty good. The acting is really solid, in fact. Because everybody knows that they are in a goofy, stupid comedy. So everybody is hamming it up. And the very fact that the whole thing is taking a whole lot of its cues from the 1960s Batman TV show, that honestly is the best way to go, is for everybody to just fucking ham it up and just have fun. So, frankly, that right there was a perfect way to, do this, and everybody does it with absolute perfection. The acting here is great. Now, sound mix. I'd like to talk about sound mix for just a sec, because I can't really talk about it too much. Because the BitTorrent I got, as some of you could probably tell, the sound on it was very, very low. And in fact, I have the volume maxed. And this is literally as loud as it gets. I honestly am not even sure if the camera mic is picking up that. But yeah, this right here is as loud as the film gets. So the one thing I can tell you is that you can barely hear it. Now, there are probably like versions of this thing on YouTube. There are probably versions of it on other BitTorrent sites where it might have better sound. But I don't know. I can tell you, though, that if you happen to hunt for it, you may happen to you may run into the same sound issue I did, where everything is really quiet. It is either that I got a bad download, or this movie is naturally mixed incredibly quiet. And if that is the case, that there's an absolute shame, because you can barely hear a lot of the dialogue. I'm really happy for subtitles then in that case. But considering the fact that maybe about a third of the movie is in English, you have to listen incredibly close, because they didn't bother to subtitle everything which was in English. While I'm on the subject of subtitles, I would like to say that I kind of wish that a little bit more care went into the subtitles for this, such as possibly subtitling the English, because, well, the English here is a little bit, broken, just saying. But also, when they actually are trying to subtitle things, it's not perfect. And what I mean by that is, and this right here is the big case, is at one point, Penguin and Joker are singing this song as they are robbing a bank, and it's them singing about how much they like to steal everything, which is fine, because that right there makes total sense for villains to sing in a pseudo musical sort of a thing. However, when they are saying steal, and they're saying steal in fucking English, it is only subtitled as steal maybe a quarter of the time. The other 75% of the time, I am not joking you, it is subtitled as stir, and it makes no sense. So you basically have to attempt to translate the you know, like, subtitles occasionally. That right there was the most glaring instance. There honestly were a couple other instances where things just felt a little bit weird and you kind of had to translate it into something that made some level of sense. But honestly though, like, the subtitles like falter occasionally, but I honestly am not going to fault them too much because I honestly was still able to follow everything which was going on, and that is the very least you can ask for when you're watching something which is subtitled. Now, music. Oh boy. Well, I will say that barring the love song about 50 minutes in, every other song in here is pretty good. Well, correction, it all kind of ranges from pretty good and sort of catchy to it kind of sucks, and then that fucking love song is just way down there in dear God, what a piece of shit. I would like to say that probably the shining moment is a song, and it's a song talking about Batman and Robin, and it's set to the Beach Boys' Surfin' Safari, which I honestly, when I first started hearing it, I really thought it was gonna be kind of shit, and the song kind of sort of like grew on me, and it instantly became the best song in the entire film. Music here is pretty good. I am not going to lie. Again, barring like one or two really bad songs, everything else here is really good. Ultimately, guys, when all is said and done, am I able to recommend Alias, Batman, and Robin? If you can find it on YouTube, if you can find a BitTorrent for it, go right ahead and check it out. I just have to warn you again that it does have that 20-minute patch, which is going to stop the movie absolutely dead, and then the final act is trying desperately to rebuild, and it kind of fails. But there still might be something there which you guys might totally enjoy, and honestly, it's totally worth checking out if for no other reason than for the first 50 minutes. That is absolutely solid, funny stuff. I just sort of wish that they could have made the whole film that good, you know? I'd also like to say that this was my first exposure to movies from the Philippines, and I'm pleasantly surprised, because I had no idea if this movie was going to be good or bad. It kind of wound up a little, average, just simply because of, well, I've already talked about all the reasons why. So I'm almost tempted to look into more films from the fucking Philippines, just because, hey, I might actually find something really solid there. And also, this right here I think was sort of a nice way to close out, this month, just because, well, I always like to sort of close on something a little bit different. And last year I closed on the Batman porno, which, well, it was terrible. This year I closed on the Filipino Batman comedy musical, and frankly, this was kind of a step up from the, Batman porno. That right there is about the only thing I can really say. So yeah, guys, by all means, look for it, check it out, but I just have to warn, it's not perfect. I honestly had fun watching it, so hey, what the hell. So yeah, guys, with that, we come to the close of another reaction and review. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, take care, and I will see you all in the near future. Peace.